Hello there and welcome back to KB Talks, powered by the NKBA. It's the only podcast dedicated to sharing the latest kitchen and bath industry insights, providing you with the education and connections to help grow and support your business. I'm your host, Carl Champley. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed a great holiday and rang in the new year in style. Folks, it's officially a new decade. And I don't know about you, but it has me feeling inspired and excited about the future of the kitchen and bath industry. Now, folks, anything is now possible. Fresh trends are on the horizon, and technology is only going to get more innovative from here on. And on that note, we've invited today's expert guests on the podcast today to dive into design and tech integration and provide you, our listeners, with some tactical knowledge on how you can amp up your design game in 2020 and beyond. You like that? Amp up? Well, before we get started, here's a quick word from our sponsor, Samsung Appliances.
At Samsung, we aren't just predicting the future, we're creating it. Inspired by chefs, the Samsung Chef Collection is built on 3 core pillars: design, technology, and performance. The recipient of 4 2018 CES Innovation Honoree Awards, the Chef Collection features performance, precision, and design that is recognized across the globe. The Chef Collection lineup includes a 42-inch 4-door flex built-in refrigerator, a 36-inch Pro Range, 36-inch induction cooktop, and a 30-inch microwave combination wall oven, all boasting smart features designed to suit any type of lifestyle, including Wi-Fi-enabled interior cameras and advanced temperature control. Samsung's wide range of products feature multiple color and size options and ensure that the kitchen is designed exactly as the chef desires it. We crafted this collection with sophisticated capabilities for intuitive performance to elevate the modern kitchen experience. Welcome to the future of cooking. To discover more about the Chef Collection and learn more about our rewards program for certified designers, visit Samsung.com.
So today we're going to ask the experts about tech integration and K&B design. I'm very happy to introduce 2 members of the Premier Group. We have the CEO and Principal, Jason Barth, and Director of Business Development, Jamie Sangar. Welcome, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
how you doing? Good to see you.
Good. Now, Jason, I've just looked a little bit at your background. You got 20 years into this company. And I think I've got to congratulate both of you guys for the City Awards Top Honor Integrated Home of the Year of 2019 last year. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we'll go ahead and plug that we won in 2018 too, so we're back to back.
Repeat.
So we're going for the 3-peat this year.
There you go. So 3 in a row?
We hope so.
That's the goal.
I love it. Well, it tells me that you guys are going to be great guests and you know a few things when it comes to technology. So why don't we get started a little bit about you guys? Can you tell us a little bit about the Premier Group? Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so we're a traditional CEDIA channel integrator. CEDIA is the Custom Electronics Design and Installation Association. So they're kind of the leading global authority in the $19 billion home technology industry. So we're one of about 3,700 member companies, and we specialize across the board in home automation, home networking, home security, and home entertainment.
19 billion, that's just a few dollars, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
And growing.
Yeah, big industry and growing. Yeah.
And growing. And what about you, Jamie?
I'm the Director of Business Development for the Premier Group, and that also means I am in charge of our marketing. So I have a fun kind of unique role because I get to do not just one thing for the company, but a lot of different things, including the fact that for 14 years prior to this career, I was a full-time photographer. So that's a really fun skill to have in this job because I get to walk into either construction sites or finished homes and take photos either of the progress or the finished product. And then I use those as our main marketing tool. And then from a new business standpoint, really trying to delve in and work with interior designers, architects, and builders and see what kind of business we can drum up from those trades.
Right. Visuals, everything, isn't it? You've got to see something gorgeous, and the technology will help us with that. And now, for those of you who don't already know, can you tell us a little bit more about the CEDIA organization?
Right. So CEDIA is really, the companies that belong to CEDIA are really focused on design, having a plan, working and collaborating with interior designers, architects, and builders to really take technology to the next level, to create what we call a lifestyle experience versus the other market of electronics, which I call gadgets, right? Everybody buys gadgets and gizmos, and they're basically toys, and you use them for a couple weeks and then you kind of forget about them. And so we're really focused collectively on changing your lifestyle within the home with smart home automation and fully integrated systems.
Gotcha. Now, from a designer's perspective, why should an NKBA designer partner with a CEDIA professional?
I mean, the obvious answer is, why would a homeowner partner with an NKBA professional? Because we're professionals, right? Mm-hmm. And so, CEDIA is going to give you a certain guarantee of quality, knowledge, experience, training, that versus if you just say you've got a guy that says, hey, I know how to hook up a network, or I can connect your speakers. We're really about a lot more than that. There's a lot more depth and breadth to our knowledge. You mentioned earlier that we've been in business for 20 years. I think that is also something that you want to look for when you're hiring a professional, is your education and your accreditations, but additionally just your overall experience.
No, so true. Experience is everything. But thank you for answering that first part of the question. And it's like someone like, whether it's the NKBA, whether it's CEDIA, it is so important because there are a lot of cowboys out there, and this is very expensive equipment people are playing with. And I'm sure that whether it's Control4 or a lot of the other systems out there, they're not going to want just anybody installing these. Now, what are some of the ways that the Premier Group collaborates with the design community on projects?
Well, every year we attend the CEDIA Expo. This past year it was in Colorado, in Denver. And at those trade shows, it's a great opportunity for us to look at what's new from a technology standpoint, but also from a design standpoint. As time goes on, everything seems to get sleeker and slimmer, and there might be new ways to install certain products, or there might be new designs that make installations in a home more preferable. So going back to your previous question, why would an NKBA designer work with us? That's exactly one of the reasons, because we can provide them with potentially some design options as it relates to technology that maybe they're not familiar with. Maybe in general they want a lighted mirror. Well, we can show them a whole host of lighted mirrors, for example, and maybe show them some that have additional bells and whistles that the client didn't even know existed, or the designer themselves didn't know existed. For example, with a built-in TV or built-in lights, like I said, or potentially even a smart mirror. So I think that we just always try to make sure that we're on top of our game and on top of all the new products that are out there that help solve a designer's problem.
And that's what people need, don't they? Whether it's an uneducated or an educated designer, or if you're dealing directly with a homeowner, we're always on top of our game, so to speak. But a lot of the homeowners out there, they just see and are educated on what they know about. So it's like an organization like you guys is really holding, having a confident hand through the process of not only what has happened in the past, what's out now, and what potentially comes into the future. So that leads me on in terms of emerging trends. I think this is the exciting part of it. What are you guys predicting, already seeing as we kick off this new decade with tech and design? Like there's so much, but what are the big ones that you guys are seeing?
Yeah, so of course, as an integrator whose primary responsibility is to integrate, to bring all of these technologies into one simple cohesive interface for a customer. So for example, lighting control, motorized shades and drapes, heating and cooling controls, security, camera surveillance, audio, video, all of these categories. Without question, some of the big emerging trends that we're helping designers with is eliminating all the wall clutter, right? That's exactly. Like my pet peeve. You walk into some of these homes and in a master bed, bath suite, or in a kitchen, those are two of the most popular areas in the home, and you've got banks of switches, and you've got a thermostat on the wall, and an alarm keypad, and a ceiling fan control, and it's hideous, right?
Yeah, not only from a design standpoint, but even just the guessing game of figuring out which switch controls which lights. Even people that have lived in a home for any length of time sometimes continue to guess which light they're turning on.
Right.
That's so true, isn't it, too? Because what you're saying too, Jason and Jamie, is that, and the way it's more how we're living today, we've got less walls, the spaces are more open, and you do want to see less on the walls. And, I know that, after a few lessons, we'll all get to understand what's going on in technology, but the fact is we've got the rest of life to deal with, and we want something really simple, minimal, and clean.
Right. And so I think we're bringing that aspect to the design community, showing them that we can eliminate the clutter. And that's probably the thing that most of the designers that we collaborate with appreciate the most, because these homeowners want all these things, right? I mean, you may have you may want a TV in your master bathroom and some music speakers in the shower or in the vanity area. And how do you build all of this in? And then how do you operate it? And of course, you want great lighting. There's going to be toe kick lighting and makeup lighting and down lights and shower lights and accent lights and maybe a decorative fixture in the center. So eliminating that gang of ugliness of switches on the wall, I think is a huge benefit. I guess I'd call that emerging trend. It's really tying the aesthetics of all of these things together into beautiful spaces.
No,
yeah,
it's true.
Also, a big portion of our business is actual lighting design. And so, answering your question again, how do we work with interior designers? They spend so much time crafting, these style boards and pulling together all these different finishes and palettes. And, what's all that work worth if it's not properly lit? And so, with the right lighting design, it definitely can accent those architectural features even better, make things look even prettier. And then through the automation of those specialty lights, we can make sure that those things are highlighted at the right time of day based on the sunlight.
Jamie, that's such a good point. I'm doing a project at the moment. I've got about 60 recessed downlights just in a kitchen and a dining, like a family room area. And we're going for like 3,000K. So we want that soft light. But now with the technology, we've got the under cabinet, which has always been there, but we've got a lot of other various types of technology that's being introduced to it. It is changing today. It's not like, okay, let's just keep it in the center of the corridor or keep them in the center of the kitchen island so you don't cast a shadow. We do have to take everything into account. When you walk into that room, what's the first accent light you want to see? The separation of three-way, four-way switches, et cetera, et cetera. So it is so important because in any new house or remodel, all that has to be coordinated well ahead of time with lasers and string lines, et cetera, because once it's drywalled and done, it is done. And like anything, we're always learning. You just want to do one thing. You want to do it once and you don't want to come back and spend more money and time and frustration to do it again. So the subject is really important on so many different levels. And of course, before the walls are insulated and before they're sheeted, we need to make sure that everything is in there. As you guys said, if it's a television above the mantelpiece, one in the kitchen, do we have a mirror that's lit? Are we running Cat5 to there? Are we just hardwiring it? There's a lot there. And as a contractor designer, having someone like you guys really helps me. And I've got another project where I do have a company similar to you guys there. And I can't tell you how much pressure that's taken off me just to have somebody on site. And once it's done, they're all there testing it and making sure everything is fine. So no, it's certainly the way to go. Now, what are some other kinds of technology solutions that exist that interior designers need to know about?
Well, we were talking about lighting and the automation, but when Jamie says a big portion of our business is lighting, we're also talking about the fixture specification. So you mentioned you've got 60 downlights going in a kitchen dining area. I think a lot of consumers even don't realize now that we're down to a 2-inch or in some cases a 1-inch aperture on the fixture. In fact, we've got a new fixture that's about the size of my pinky. It's a tiny hole in the ceiling. We're producing 1,000 lumens of output, which is in many cases double what you would expect out of a typical 6-inch can light.
Yeah.
So people think you have to go bigger to get more light output, but that's not true with LED. And so we're using almost exclusively small aperture fixtures, which just completely changes your perception of the space. The quiet ceiling plane, you don't see the fixtures, light up your ceiling when you use large fixtures. You have all these glare spots. So it really cuts that down and does a much better job of featuring the architectural elements of the house. So I think the fixtures, selecting the right LED fixtures is a really big topic.
No, it's so true. I haven't done a project, I think, in about 6 or 7 years where I've used a 6-inch ceiling light. It's
Right.
mostly the 3-inch and the 4-inch. And I love the fact that we're getting to those pinhole type fixtures because, as you know, in the past, it's either a 6 or a 4-inch trim with like a small hole that you would maybe put above the bed. So the less we have on the ceiling, the better. And let's hope that, like when you look at your HVAC and you put your 12-inch by 12-inch grill up there, it's just so ugly compared to everything else. Okay, now one more question. With everything that you guys do, what is probably the most exciting part of technology that you can incorporate into a home? What would be the most exciting, you guys think?
Again, I think for us, it really is about the concealed technologies. To me, are the most exciting. When someone comes into one of the spaces that we've collaborated on with a great interior design partner, and everything looks super clean and everything is like, we don't want to see the TVs any more than you or anyone else does. Just having a TV hanging on your wall, like we've all seen that. We're kind of over that.
Yeah, it's not sexy. There's no design aspect to it.
So, a TV coming up out of a lift in a kitchen island and swiveling around to face either the cooktop or to face the breakfast table is really sleek.
Yeah.
And then recesses back down and you've got a smooth countertop. That's a really great problem solver for where to locate the TV in the kitchen. You mentioned the heating and cooling, the cold air returns or the vents. We've got a fantastic product from a company called TrueFig where we've got drywalled or gypsum board linear slot diffusers and cold air returns that blend seamlessly into the drywall or gypsum that you paint right over. They don't sweat. They just look amazing. I mean, we just have a pretty large arsenal of these really special products that take a space to the next level.
Yeah. And I would say too, at the CEDIA Expo, I got the pleasure of touring around a group of designers, NKBA designers. And what was interesting was some had a lot of experience working with integrators like ourselves, and some had no experience. So I would encourage everyone, whether, you're well versed in the subject or not, you've got to start somewhere. And oftentimes the best projects are when we collaborate with the client and the designer. So what we do in our initial meetings is do a lot of listening. We listen to the client and what their expectations are, and then we listen to the designer and what their vision and their expectations are. And then oftentimes they don't even have to know what questions to ask of us. Just because we've listened to what they're expecting from the project, we're able to make recommendations that might solve a problem that they didn't know there was a solution to.
You just said something there that is why you guys are successful. And I'll say in the construction and the design community, if you have a designer there that actually listens first before blah, it's always a winning, it's always a win-win. And I thank you for that, because it's really listening and taking into account the family. Have they got kids? Are the kids moving out of the house? And it's really listening to all of that. And then you have that knowledge to then lay out your professional advice.
Exactly. So I just wanted to make that point, because for those designers, like you mentioned, that do have no experience, experience isn't necessarily required to work with a company like ours. It just takes meeting time so we can understand goals, visions, design aesthetics, and then based on our experience and all of the projects that we've had in the past, we have a whole arsenal of custom products that might fit design problems per se that a designer might typically have, or we can show something completely new that they didn't know existed in the world.
What I like about it too is that even if the designers, you guys out there listening, are very well versed in the subject, it's always good to collaborate with somebody, because someone else has always got a different way of installing it or a different way of achieving the same result. And sometimes I think I've seen a little bit of ego gets in the way of some people. You've got to drop all of that and just be pure and say, hey, we've just incorporated the Premier Group here. You know, I'm pretty well versed on it, but I really want to hear what you guys have to say. And what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? And the end result is the client getting the ultimate experience in the project, correct? So
Exactly.
I think that's
whether you're experienced or not, you're always learning, and it's okay. Like even myself with the construction design industry, I'll never say I know everything because it's changing so much, and I always have to keep on top of it. And I love getting advice from like you guys because that's educating me even more.
Yeah, I think my primary goal with people like yourself and the direct client is you all read a lot of information. We all have access to television shows, internet, articles, blogs, and you gather all this information. Our job is to curate all of that information for you and present the reality of all the technologies that you've tried to learn about based on 20 years of experience and over 6,000 projects. Like, here's how these things work. Because there's a lot of products out there that seem like a good idea. They look like a good idea. They have people like Jamie in the marketing department that make something look really sexy and beautiful. And we're putting all these things into the same space on the same network. And now how does it really work, right? And so that's really kind of my lead role, is to curate all of that.
No, that's awesome. And, for, again, people listening in, this is a great investment because some people might think, well, guess what? We don't really have the budget to bring in an organization like yourself. But my approach is you cannot afford not to, for the fact that you want to, it's got to be that the client has to have a vision and an understanding of what they're going to see, of what the performance is going to be like before that project starts. Because I'm sure you guys have been called in halfway through a project and say, guys, we haven't really thought about this. Well, you've already drywalled, you're already insulated. It's a little bit more, and it's going to take a lot more money now because we're going to have to fish cables through the walls, et cetera, et cetera. So it's certainly something that's very important to bring up front before the project even starts.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Proper planning will always save you money. Not planning is the surefire way to spend too much money. And then it's also a surprise. That's even worse, right? You didn't plan on it, and so now it hurts. So let's just get the hurt out up on the front end.
How true is that? It's like explaining a work order before you submit it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, guys, listen, I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you all day about this sort of stuff, but thank you very much for the insight. And again, check out the website. And guys, I appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We hit the tip of the iceberg. So let's keep this conversation going.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you, guys. Well, we have new episodes of KB Talks coming your way very soon. So make sure you are subscribed and stay tuned. Please be sure to send your feedback to nkba@flyingcamel.com. And remember to take a moment and leave us a star rating or a review wherever you listen to your podcast. I'd appreciate it. Remember, get out there and design and build something great. And stay tuned for a quick NKBA Minute.
Every year at KBIS, the NKBA's Voices from the Industry Conference presents an invaluable opportunity for professional development and career growth. This year's conference features 74 sessions in 5 categories, including Grow Your Business, Kitchen and Bath Specialty Training, Design, Management, and Customer Service. Backed by popular demand are some favorite VFTI speakers who return in 2020 with new or updated presentations. Plus, at least 25 speakers are new this year, offering fresh content and a fresh perspective. If you prefer a hands-on learning experience, the NKBA also offers 5 on-site interactive lab sessions. Register now for KBIS 2020 and the Voices from the Industry Conference sessions. Visit kbis.com for more information.